The Little Chick's Big Adventure. In a lush green forest, where tall pine trees reached toward the sky, 3 tiny yellow chicks lived in a cozy nest near the edge of a meadow. They were the smallest creatures in the forest, but they had the biggest hearts. The eldest chick was brave and curious, the middle chick was clever and observant, and the youngest was gentle and kind. One misty morning, as the sun was just beginning to peek through the branches, the chicks heard soft whimpering coming from nearby. Carefully peering over their nest, they spotted 2 bear cubs huddled together beneath a berry bush. The cubs were lost and scared, having wandered too far from their mother while playing. "We have to help them," chirped the youngest chick, its heart full of compassion for the frightened cubs. The other chicks agreed, though they knew it would be a challenging task for such small birds to help such large cubs. The clever middle chick remembered something important. "Every morning, we see Mama Bear taking her cubs to the river to catch fish. Maybe if we find the river, we can help them find their way home." The cubs looked up at the tiny chicks with tear-filled eyes. They were much bigger than the chicks, with fuzzy brown fur and round ears, but right now they seemed as vulnerable as newly hatched birds. The eldest chick took charge, hopping down from the nest to lead the way. "Follow us," the chicks chirped in unison. The cubs, though uncertain at first, decided to trust their tiny guides. They began their journey through the forest, with the chicks hopping from branch to branch, keeping just ahead of the cubs. The forest was full of challenges. When they came to a patch of thorny bushes, the clever middle chick spotted a hidden path that the cubs could safely follow. When they encountered a steep hill, the chicks worked together to find the gentlest slope for the cubs to climb. The youngest chick noticed when the cubs were getting tired and lead them to a patch of sweet berries for a rest. While the cubs ate, the eldest chick kept watch from a high branch, making sure they were safe from any forest dangers. As they traveled, the cubs began to grow more confident. They learned to look for the signs. The chick showed them the way certain flowers always face the river, how the moss grew thicker on one side of the trees, and how the sound of rushing water grew louder as they got closer to their destination. The journey wasn't without its scary moments. Once, they heard a strange rustling in the undergrowth. The cubs froze in fear, but the brave eldest chick flew ahead to investigate. It was only a rabbit, and everyone sighed with relief. The middle chick realized they could use this experience to teach the cubs how to stay calm and assess situations before panicking. As the day wore on, the youngest chick began to tire, but it never complained. Instead, it sang cheerful little songs that kept everyone's spirits high. The cubs even started to hum along in their own growl-why way, making the forest journey feel more like an adventure than a scary experience. Finally, they heard the familiar sound of the river. The cubs' eyes lit up with recognition, and their steps became more eager. The clever middle chick flew ahead and spotted something exciting. "Look, there are fresh bear tracks here." Cubs sniffed the air, and their faces brightened. They could smell their mother. Just then, they heard a familiar growl, not a scary one, but the warm, loving sound of Mama Bear calling for her cubs. The cubs bounded forward, while the chicks watched from a safe branch. The reunion was beautiful to witness. Mama Bear hugged her cubs close, checking them over and nuzzling them with relief. The cubs excitedly growled and gestured toward the chicks, telling their mother about their tiny helpers. Mama Bear looked up at the three little chicks and gently nodded her head in gratitude. The chicks chirped happily, proud that they had helped the cubs find their way home. They had proven that even the smallest creatures could make a big difference. As the sun began to set, the chicks headed back to their own nest, guided by the last golden rays of sunlight. They had learned something important to that courage, cleverness, and kindness, when combined, could overcome any challenge. From that day forward, whenever the chicks saw the bear family fishing by the river, the cubs would look up and wiggle their ears in greeting, while Mama Bear kept a watchful eye on both her cubs and the three brave little chicks who had helped bring her family back together.